The shaft generator in AutoCAD Mechanical allows you to generate things like gear shafts and camshafts and so on as you work through your assembly in your mechanical drawing. Now, I'm not going to go into too much depth here because there's a whole plethora of information on generating shafts. I'm going to show you a basic shaft, and I'll leave it up to you to work through the content in the shaft panel here. Now, we're in the Content tab again on the ribbon. There's the shaft panel. Click on the flyout and pin open the extra options that you have on the shaft there. You have adjusting rings, retaining rings and circlips. You have shim rings. You can also insert seals, shaft lock nuts, and parallel and woodruff keys. Now, I'm not going to put any of that in there, okay, so we can actually unpin that now. All I'm going to do is just show you how to generate a shaft using the shaft generator utility. You can also use individual shaft pieces like shaft end, center hole, roller bearings, and so on. I'm just going to click on shaft generator here, and we're going to specify a starting point. So what I'll do a shift and a right click, and I'll go from the endpoint snap of this center line here, like so. Now, what do I want? I want the outer contour first, so I'm going to go with that thread there, and it prompts me for a thread. So I'm just going to go for the top British Standard one there, and I can choose a standard thread there. Now I'm going to go all the way down. I'm going to go for something like an M20, which is there, with a 1.5mm thread. So I'll OK that now. And then, as you can see, I can pick something that I want to add. I could just add a standard cylinder, like this, and then specify the other corner point. So as I come out there, I'll do a shift and a right click and go for nearest, and I'll maybe drop it up to there. And I'm just adding bits as I go. So all I'm doing now, I'll pick that one there. There's a gear there that might be on the shaft, so I'll just OK that. And as you can see, it's added that gear as I've gone. Can you see? To a standard size. So I might add next, let's say, pick a point here. The segment cannot contain a groove. I've tried to add a groove there. So you can see there that I just work my way through. So let's go with a cone there now. There's the cone, and as you can see, I can specify the points on the cone. So there's another part of my shaft there, so I'll pick that point there. And then I might put an inner contour or an outer contour, depending on whether I'm going through an assembly. Now I'm not, so what I'll do, I'll close that now, and there's my shaft, all built up, going through my rectangle there, which was actually part of my assembly. Now that looks very basic, I know. But the whole idea of it is that it allows you to build up a shaft using component parts. Now, I haven't used any standard parts there. So if I just undo that a second and go back to the shaft generator, and this time I'll pick my endpoint here, so shift and right click, an endpoint to there. Now if I go with standard parts, I'll go for, let's say, an ISO 2904 trapezoidal thread, and I'll take that to there. And there's my thread there. So I'll drag that size and I'll come down to say there. Now I'm using standard ISO parts, so I'll OK that. It drops it in. Next one, standard parts again. I might want to add a component, a parallel key on the mid of the shaft. As you can see, look, lots of information. Let's pop an adjusting ring in there, and we'll set the collar in like so, and I want the front view of that. So I'll drop that, let's say in there, direction to there, no valid data record found. So let's go for all sizes. So I'll go for that Hallowell one there, OK that, and it loads it up for me. And as you can see, it's a bit small, so I might need to scale that perhaps. Well, let's do that. Let's close that now. It's very small indeed, but I can still scale it. What I can do there is scale that in the X and Y direction, or just go to the Home tab and just scale it generally. So what I could do there is scale it in the X direction first, maybe. So let's go to Modify, and what I'll do is I need to make that bigger, so I go to Scale, X, Y. I select the object I need to scale, which is that one just there. Right click to confirm, and the base point is going to be there. And then I want to specify an X-axis scale factor, so I'll make it, let's say, 4 times bigger in the X direction. And then a Y-axis scale factor, we'll go for 4 again, press enter, and nothing's happened. That's because it's a standard intelligent part. It's got known sizes, you can't scale it. However, if it was just a regular object, you could. So again, when you're using your shaft generator, if you're using a standard part, it's going to come in that big. There's no two ways around it. You cannot scale it because it's fixed. It's an intelligent part. So that's your shaft generator for you. And as you can see, there's lots of information there on the shaft generator. I could probably do an entire course on generating shafts in AutoCAD Mechanical, but I'm not going to. I'll leave that up to you. Notice here as well you have options. And if I go to the AM shaft tab in the options, lots of information there as well. I'm going to leave that on the default settings for you so that you can work through that. Now be aware there is also a lot of help in the AutoCAD Mechanical help screens, but I'm not an expert on shafts, and what I would say here is go through the help screens and, like me, just generate a basic shaft as and where you need to initially. And then once you start learning and becoming more proficient with shaft generation, you can build up standard shafts and build them into your drawings.